Hi, everyone. This is Denise Gwen, and I'm going to provide you tonight writing tip number 2. They really don't go in any particular order. At one time, I had 5 major writing tips, and really, there's no limit to the number of writing tips I can give people. I've been writing for many years. And these are some things I've learned that have been tremendously important and helpful to me, and I thought I'd share them. So, anyway, writing tip number 2. Sometimes the story is right there and you can't see it yet. Sometimes the story is right there and you can't see it yet. Let me explain. When M. Night Shyamalan first released The Sixth Sense, and I'm really proud of myself for being able to do the TH sound because I couldn't form the difference between a th and a th when I was a kid. And in 6th grade, I took speech therapy. And the lady was so nice and so sweet. She was so cute, too, because she said theater. She was a Southerner. Instead of us Midwesterners in Indiana, we called it theater. But anyway. When M. Night Shyamalan first released The Sixth Sense, it was a blockbuster film. And it had a shock surprise ending that I'm sure everyone knows the ending now. Throughout the entire story, the entire film, the psychiatrist played by Bruce Willis is actually dead. And it isn't until the end of the film when you realize that M. Night Shyamalan has cleverly filmed it in such a way that at first you don't realize how cleverly he's doing it. But every time Bruce Willis's character interacts with someone, he really isn't. He thinks he is, and we think he is because he's sitting at the table with his wife at dinner. She grabs the bill and says, "Happy anniversary," and he thinks she's angry at him. But it isn't until the very end of the film that we discover he's dead. He's been dead ever since the crazed man entered his house and shot him. And he actually killed him. And he didn't realize he was dead throughout the film, which is a trope. He was profiled throughout the world. Everybody wanted to interview him. And he appeared on the cover, I do believe, of Rolling Stone magazine shortly after the film came out. And I read the interview he gave, and I came away from that interview with some really amazing insights. He talked about 2 different things. The first thing he talked about was how difficult a time he had of it in Hollywood. He would make an appointment to meet with an executive to talk about his film project or his screenplay, and these guys would sneak out on him behind, go out the back door, set an appointment, and then refuse to meet with him. Or they'd keep him waiting for hours and then cancel. And it's like, God, that's obnoxious that people behave that way. But that's what people in Hollywood do. It happens everywhere. So that shows a lot of perseverance on his part. There was something else he said that just gobsmacked me. He said it wasn't until he was in I want to say the 7th draft of The Sixth Sense, that it occurred to him that the character played by Bruce Willis is dead. Now, isn't that an amazing thing to acknowledge. So, in other words, as he worked on this screenplay, he did his first draft. He's got this idea for a story of a little boy who sees dead people. And when M. Night Shyamalan first wrote The Sixth Sense, it hadn't occurred to him yet that the psychiatrist in the story was dead. Isn't that amazing? I was really amazed by that. And it was kind of a huge revelation, I think, and very vulnerable of him to admit that. So then he must have worked on the second draft. Maybe he fine tuned it a little bit. Maybe somebody gave him some notes and said, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. Then he did the third draft. Then he did the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. And again, I don't remember if it was the sixth or seventh draft that he suddenly realized, oh my God, the character of the psychiatrist is dead. That must have been such an amazing epiphany for him when he realized that. And maybe he felt foolish and a little bit stupid and berated himself and thought, bloody hell, why didn't I see that? Well, why didn't I see that? Well, because he wasn't ready to see it. Sometimes you'll work on a story and you think the story is going in a certain direction. And perhaps you've even planned it out, you've mapped it out, or you've outlined it, or you've given it a great deal of thought. And you're going to approach the story in a really great way, and you're going to write this awesome story. But then you finish it, and inside your own heart, you know there's something wrong with it. You can't quite place a finger on it, but there's something wrong with your story. And I've had that happen to me. And in fact, I'm encountering that right now in a story I'm rewriting that I first started working on in 2019. And so, you have to trust the process. You have to give yourself time to write the story and let it seep into your system. And then, as I said in my first tutorial, let it sit, let some time pass. In your own heart, you know it isn't quite ready yet for publication. It's not quite ready, and there's something missing. That happens a lot. And you have to be patient. And once you finish your draft, you need to set the manuscript to one side and just let it sit for a bit. And you need to think about it. And think to yourself, is there something different in this story that I'm not seeing yet? So this is a variation on tip number 1, let it sit. It's almost like tip number 1A. Let it sit, and maybe you just haven't found the story yet. Writing is difficult. It's very difficult to write well and to make it look easy. And that's why so many people think they know they can write, think they can write. In reality, a lot of people don't really know what they're doing, and they don't take a patient approach, and they don't give the writing time to breathe. So follow the advice of M. Night Shyamalan. Let it sit and let the story come to you.